Hello, everyone. For those of you who are watching this instead of listening to it, do not adjust your channel. You are not, in fact, watching the Pat McAfee show, no matter what it looks like when you're staring at me. This is the internet phenomenon that is do as we say, not as they did. Real talk about bad choices, sex, relationships, all sorts of horrible things going on the internet. I am your host, Harris O'Malley, also known as Dr. Nerdlove. And with me, as always, they're a doctor, they're a sex educator, they're the coffee to my donut, Dr. Liz Powell.
I don't know if I'd rather be the donut to your coffee. That's a tough choice. But hi, I'm Dr. Liz. Good to see everybody.
How you doing over there, Doc?
Oh, it is times that we are living in. We are sure living in some times.
Oh yeah, I love living in a state where there's always the question of, is this just going to be a normal winter, or are we going to have Armageddon 2, Electric Boogaloo? Just watching yet another cold front bear down on us as we're recording this. We just got out of one. There's another one coming, and we're all just sitting here going like, oh, for fuck's sake.
I'm so sorry. I live in the beautiful Bay Area where the weather does not get bad. It just doesn't get that bad. It just doesn't. And that's kind of lovely about it.
Don't think that if it wasn't for the massive cost of living and all the tech bros, I wouldn't seriously consider it out there because like I'm used to warm summers. The heat dome that we get, that's pushing things. But now that winters are also just like, hey, wouldn't you like to live with Chicago winters in a state that really just isn't set up to have them? That part is really starting to really grind me down. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, fair. So fair. And it is ridiculous expensive out here. One of my favorite games to play with people who don't live in the San Francisco area is to ask them what they think like rent prices are or the prices for purchasing things because y'all have no idea. It is a lot out here. It's a lot. But it has its perks.
Nothing like looking at a listing on Zillow and thinking it's like, wait, is this for a mansion? Is this
No.
for a palace? No, it's
No,
a
no.
2-bedroom with no yard and no parking.
My favorite story to tell about San Francisco real estate is that the last time I was living in the Bay Area, there was a house near me in Bernal Hill in San Francisco, which is a very nice neighborhood of San Francisco, that was a literal burned out husk of a house that sold for over $1 million.
That tracks. There was a few years ago, especially before Tesla up and picked up stakes, but we're talking about it moving to Austin, where a good friend of mine had just gotten divorced. She was looking to buy a house, and everybody who was coming for Tesla were putting down cash offers, no sight unseen,
Mm-hmm.
inspection waived, and we're buying hovels,
Yep.
scrapers for above listed price with cash offers.
Yep.
Just things that would be put on the market for 5 seconds with ridiculous prices, and someone would immediately come along and go, I'll give you 10% more if you sell it to me right now.
Welcome to our nightmare. It
Mm-hmm.
just keeps spreading farther and farther. But
Capitalism, yeah.
oh, capitalism. Boy, do we hate it. But we're not actually here to talk about, well, sort of talking about capitalism because, one of the ones we're going to talk about talks about body hair, which is 100% a capitalism thing that razor companies created starting in like the early 1900s, but really pushing it in the 40s and 50s when all the dudes were away dying at war and so they couldn't sell as many razors. But let's talk about our actual things today because I have two Reddit posts I'm inflicting on you.
Yeah, you've got some true tales of like relationship chaos to walk us through. So tell us a little bit about the first one, which
Right.
I feel like the headline says so very much.
It's okay. So the context I will give to this, I am not a woman. I'm non-binary, but I date a lot of cis men, and boy, is dating cis men an experience a lot of the time. So this is from Reddit, True Off My Chest. My ex-wife predicted my future in painful details, and I can't sleep at night because of it. I'm sorry. I can't. I'm so excited to read this because, boy. Okay. So the person has since deleted their account, so I can't tell you what their account name was. We are legally still married. We are both 45 and have been together for 20 years. She was the love of my life until I met my current girlfriend, and that's when I realized that I have been stagnating for years. My new girlfriend, 30, was happy and exciting. She was wild and drove me crazy. I finally remembered how it was to feel alive with her, and she understood me, never complained and never nagged, always positive. When my ex wife found out, she laughed in my face and told me how disappointing I was. Leaving your wife of 20 something for a 20 something? How original. I told her it wasn't her age. She laughed even harder. Let me guess. Because she cares about her looks, because she is so positive and adventurous. Then she said that when reality hits, don't come running back. When she stops blowing you in the most wild places because she knows that she doesn't have to now. When she realizes that she wants more and asks for more. When your answer and actions aren't good enough for her. When she stays in bed scrolling her phone all weekend because now she has you, she doesn't need to pretend to be oh so adventurous anymore. Remember that you haven't traded up. I didn't believe her, and she laughed at that too. She said, remember how our story started? The love and respect we had? And look at how it ended. How do you think this one, that started by hurting the people closest to you, will end? This was 9 months ago. Now, I haven't spoken with my girlfriend for 2 days. She moved in with me 3 months ago, and I have never been this miserable. The fights and nagging, the scrolling on her phone day and night with zero effort or energy for any adventure, the demands and small fights about small things. I know that moving in together can be an emotional and unstable, I think he meant time, but didn't put that word. But I feel that I have no feelings for this woman. I have nothing to say to her. I don't even like her. I just keep thinking of my wife and how she knew all this. I pretend that everything is great when I am with people. I act like I am so in love, but I am dying inside. She predicted everything, and I miss and love her and think about her every single day. And because I am not a good person, I told my girlfriend this. I don't know why I felt the need to tell my girlfriend this. Maybe because she called my ex old and bitter. I told her that I will never love her like I do my ex. That took her down on earth real quick. I am sick of myself.
I am just off the bat reminded of that Twitter thread that was like, y'all don't have the cholesterol to be out there in the dating scene right now. Y'all, they're talking about you at brunch. Do you know what a group chat is? Because you're gonna. It's like
Josh Johnson did that great bit about like men are not ready to find out how they're saved in women's phones, like what name they have in women's phones. And he tells that like he was hanging with a friend of his, picked up her phone because he had called it to help her find it, and his name in her phone was just nope. And like brutal. So I, in particular, in this moment, am having extra glee about this particular Reddit post because last year I was dating someone who I was very excited about. He was very excited about me at the start. He was 58 years old. I was then 42. And he started dating this hot young 23-year-old and ignored our relationship to the point that I was like, yeah, I'm fucking out. And now apparently he has many regrets and feels terrible and knows that he messed it up very badly, but hasn't said a word to me since June because he knows I won't get back with him. So he hasn't bothered acknowledging or apologizing anyway. So I just.
This whole thing is just. I mean, I am fully in favor of people having the love life and married life that they want. If you're going to be Pauline, you're going to date, that's great. These people clearly weren't. This dude was cheating. But it's like everybody forgets that no relationship stays the same.
No. And like so many of these older dudes start dating a younger woman, I think, in part because she doesn't call him on his bullshit yet. And as soon as she starts, he's like, oh, another fucking nagging bitch. And I'm like, maybe look at yourself, bro. Maybe if every woman you date eventually is like, you're a fucking idiot who needs to do some housework, you are a fucking idiot who needs to do some housework. I don't know. Just a thought from this rabid feminist.
I mean, there's that, and there's also the fact of like, okay, you do understand that time only moves in one direction, right?
Yes.
Like the reason why things don't feel as vibrant and as adventurous and as exciting as they were before is because y'all have been together for a very long time. And so there's not as much mystery. Esther Perel talks about a lot of this in State of the Affair and in Mating in Captivity.
Mating in Captivity, yeah.
But like some of it is just you have gotten to know each other, and some of it is just a matter of as you get older, your priorities change. The things you have the energy for change. I am, looking back on my 20s and 30s on the days when I thought that going to bed before 2 a.m. was a crime. And now, if you tell me that we're going to be out until 2 a.m., that's a threat.
Look, the number of times people have been like, let's go to this thing together. I'm like, ooh, that sounds really cool. What time does it start? And they're like, well, it starts at 9, but we shouldn't get there till like 10:30 or 11. And I'm like, nope, I'm out. Like, you have fun with that, you young person. I am too old.
Yeah, my knees are not built for the pit anymore. If I'm going to a concert, I'm going to shell out the extra money for like dedicated seats, my own bathroom, and easier access to the bar. Everybody else can go mosh up front. I'll be
Yeah,
fine.
if I have to be in a place where I'm going to have to be standing the whole time, you better believe I'm wearing my compression socks. I'm wearing some shoes with real good arch support. Like, I am not. I understand what happens to my body when I don't take care of it.
Also, just for everyone who still wants to go to concerts and still loves like standing up, being in the pit, and all the rest of that, Doc Martens with some
I don't love
insoles.
darks. I don't love
Trust me.
dogs. They're so heavy. They are such heavy shoes. I'm a big fan these days of Echo as a brand. I love their stuff. Their support is great. They're very comfy and they look cute. I
I'm just
really
saying, when someone stomps
enjoy.
on your docs, you're not going to feel a thing.
I mean, depending on the doc, because a lot of them are not as solid anymore. Capitalism. Anyway, the top comment on this Reddit post: the grass is greener where you water it. I'm dying to know how your ex wife is doing.
The next one is just as good. Your ex isn't psychic, you're just a cliche.
Yes. And like, every time I see a middle aged dude pulling the same fucking shtick of dating a girl in their 20s, woman in their 20s, and being like, oh my God, I've discovered this amazing life hack. She's so young and vibrant. I'm like, you have discovered nothing. You are doing the exact same thing a million boring ass men have done before you. And it is going to fail for you exactly the way it failed for them and for the exact same reasons. Like, the reason you're attracted to this 20-year-old is because continuing to build and engage and maintain that relationship that you're in would require you to actually do some fucking work for the first time in your goddamn relationship. You'd have to, I don't know, examine why you don't feel like you have to do housework. Examine why, as a person who lives in a home and uses dishes, you don't feel like the vacuum cleaner or the dish soap are yours to bother with. You would have to think about why it is that you don't know how to have a heartfelt conversation with your partner, why it is that you aren't asking her about what's going on with her or what's exciting for her, that you aren't paying attention to what she's into or what she's reading or what she's watching, right? Like, you would have to come out of your own tight little bubble of you being the best, most important thing in the world and pay attention to somebody else for a minute. And that 20-year-old is going to be so excited and think you're so cool and not make any demands on you or tell you that you should do your dishes until eventually she realizes that you're also full of shit. Like, this is not going to change. The shit that is making your current relationship not work is not going to suddenly go away because you're dating someone way younger. You need to fix it. You.
And there's also the fact that, like, not understanding what has going on and why it doesn't feel, no one feels as adventurous or alive, or like everything is feeling stagnant. And this is one where it really just comes down to, do you remember why you were doing all of those things in the early days of your relationship? Do you remember all of the wild ass things you were doing? And do you remember why you were doing them with your partner? Some of it was just out of the, the sheer novelty, the new relationship energy of it all. When you're with a new partner, the dopamine is flying off the charts, the oxytocin is bubbling. It's caught making you two bang out on every flat surface that you can find, and you're both trying to put on your best selves and come up with
Yes.
these new and amazing things to do with each other and for each other, because you're both still kind of new in it. You're still wanting to establish things, and you're still wanting to impress them. You're still wanting to please them. You're still really getting that charge out of doing something really cool for them. Maybe it's something you've experienced before, but you're seeing it for the first time through their eyes because they've never done it before, or maybe it's new to both of you. And over time, this happens to everybody, that does tend to fade just because we get used to things. And
Yeah.
in every relationship, we all settle in. That happens no matter who you are, partially because, just like, it's hard to maintain that level of excitement for anything for very long.
Yeah. That
It's no
early
different
phase
from
is the
buying a
easy
really awesome
time.
new car. After a while, it's just your car.
Yeah. The early phase is the easy time. It is easy to make it a good relationship during that early phase because everything is still just excitement. There aren't conflicts, there aren't resentments, there aren't anything's built up to make it more challenging. And you don't have to try as hard because you don't know each other. Like, continually getting to know each other and build depth in a relationship takes more effort as you go because you have the answers to a lot of questions already. Their favorite color probably hasn't changed, right? Where they grew up hasn't changed. Their relationship with their siblings when they were a kid hasn't changed. All of this history that you've accumulated with them that could build a really amazing relationship is stuff you can't ask about as much anymore because you know it. It's there. So you have to put in more effort to continuing to show interest, continuing to build, continuing to connect. And a lot of particularly cishet dudes expect relationships to be handed to them and not to have to put in the work of maintaining a relationship. You know, a lot of people put what I call relationship maintenance tasks under emotional labor. I have very mixed feelings about this. I think that the way emotional labor was coined as a term is a really important term for us to have, and muddying it with these kinds of things makes it a little more complicated, but I get why people use it. But like, relationship maintenance is its own separate set of tasks, right? Somebody has to remember what foods people like. Somebody has to remember to schedule a date night. Somebody has to remember to get the sheets cleaned. Somebody has to remember when the anniversary is, when the birthdays are, right? All these things that keep a relationship running. Somebody has to like start the text conversation. Somebody has to show the curiosity. Somebody has to make the space for someone to talk about their feelings. If you are not proactively doing all of those tasks, you are not pulling your weight in a relationship. And
And
go
sorry,
ahead.
go on.
No, you go.
There's also just the attitude that you kind of cultivate around it. There was an interview with Brendan Lee Mulligan, of all people, and I want to say he was talking with Adam Conover. I won't swear to this because I've seen a lot of different interviews with Brendan Lee Mulligan, but talking about like how, sometimes the world is crazy, chaotic. You feel helpless, pointless. And then he's talking about how, like, there will be times when I think they're married. I'm not entirely sure. They're definitely in a
Yeah.
relationship. Izzy would be like, hey, would you mind getting, if you're getting up, would you mind getting me something from the fridge or whatever? And maybe there's that moment of like, wait, why can't you do this? You're fully capable of getting up and getting something for yourself. But then he says it's like, but then my thinking is, wait, I can do something nice for someone I care about. I can just go and get my partner a snack. Like,
Yeah.
just a little, like, no minimal energy thing that makes life just a little bit better for her, that cost me absolutely nothing. I was getting up anyway, so why not? And that kind of like attitude, I love that little segment just because it really kind of sells, just like it doesn't all need to be Gomez and Morticia Adams,
No.
although that really helps, and maybe that should be the ultimate goal you're reaching for, because a man's ambition should outstrip his ability, or else what else is heaven for? But it doesn't all need to be like these giant, major, like over the top gestures. Sometimes it's like, what I can get my sweetie a snack. It's not that big of a deal.
I
That
feel
really
like
kind of
that's
can
the
change
kind
your perspective on things. It's just, I'm doing something nice for someone I care about.
And I feel like that's the kind of thing that people who are raised as girls and women are trained to do automatically in a way that a lot of cishet men don't even notice. It makes it really challenging to be in a relationship with someone when you are constantly doing these little things to be nice for them and make things easier for them and like just be available to making their life a little bit better. And you don't get that back over and over and over again. It builds this huge imbalance. And that imbalance eventually leads to a lot of resentment and leads to people being less and less willing to put up with any of your shit, right? Like, if I have a partner who's always like getting me little snacks because I want them and rubbing my shoulders when I've had a hard day and listening to me talk about stuff and being emotionally available when I talk about things, it's much easier for me to deal with them not doing their dishes, right? And to have a lot more grace for that and be willing to like overlook that or like step in to fill in. Then if I have a partner who's not doing those things and they're also not doing their dishes and leaving their socks on the floor, like, my level of tolerance for those things drops exponentially when they are not feeding the relationship. Like, you need to be feeding the relationship in a bunch of different ways.
Yeah.
I also think a lot of this thing with the dudes leaving for younger women is about men being unable to face their own like death anxiety and their feelings about aging. That like their bodies are changing and they don't want to have to acknowledge that and deal with their own feelings about what it is to be aging and to not be a hot young thing anymore. And instead, they just like date a hot young thing and like vicariously get to feel like a hot young thing until eventually she leaves them for a hotter younger thing, because why would she stay with you?
Yeah. So, as a man in his middle ages, I understand some of this because there is, and this is going to get like a little deep in the weeds and sound very, and I hate to make someone else's whole thing about me be me. I understand everything. But like I said, I am a man who is cresting the hill to 49 and 50 is well within sight. So, these are things that I have been thinking about recently. And for me, I understand this, I feel like a little bit more because I think what a lot of the midlife crisis really comes down to is the moment of where you have the experience, the insight, and the perspective to look back at all the things that you could have done, and with perfect hindsight, the opportunities you missed out on because you didn't recognize them, and thinking, oh no, I have wasted all of this time, and now I have all of this knowledge. Surely I can get this correct this time. I can still go back and re experience all of these things that I missed out on. And I kind of get that because my whole journey from going from a guy who was not good with girls and got into relationships more or less by pure accident, including ones that were very bad for me and ones that ended badly and I didn't know how to handle it, versus like then going into the PUA scene and learning how much of that was of being good with women was a skill set, not a binary, was to look back and increasingly over the years look back even to those days and see all of the things that I messed up because I didn't know any better and now I know differently. But I think part of the difference is that I'm not feeling like I've missed out because I have continued to incorporate a lot of that as best I can into my everyday life of, all right, so I didn't catch these opportunities back in the day, but I can still find ones that are similar, so I'm not necessarily feeling like I'm missing out. I'm not feeling like I'm held back. I'm not feeling like I've got too many responsibilities to do some of the things that still I feel like give my life meaning. It's just the things that give my life meaning and the things that I want to do have changed. It's like whenever I've seen Andrew Tate talking about how his fans going like, "Oh, if you're so smart, where's your Bugatti?" And I'm just sitting here going like, "Why would the fuck would I want a Bugatti? It's a nice
Right?
car,
Like,
but I live
why?
in a city where I'm not going to be able to drive it the way that a car like that needs to be driven. I can't ghost places with my friends. I'm going to be terrified to fucking park it anywhere. And more importantly, I can't put groceries in the goddamn thing. I got me a
Right?
nice little Mini Cooper that does all of
Look,
that and more, looks great, suits me personally.
and
I
like
don't
you
need a
are
sports
going to be able to
car,
use that car. Like you are not going to use that car to its full ability. What are you going to do? Driving 100 on the freeway? Good fucking luck. First of all,
especially
welcome
on
to your
I-35. You
very
ain't going
expensive
40 on that
speeding ticket.
freeway.
Yeah, like the freeways are garbage because we don't do any maintenance on our actual infrastructure in this country. And like track time, you want to take it to a track, that shit is fucking expensive. Like, what are you doing? You're going to be able to use that car to its actual ability 2 times a year, maybe. Most of the time, it's just like a very shiny thing for you to use as like a proxy for your manliness. But everybody who actually knows anything is going to look at it and be like, oh, that's who he is. And like, it is not in a positive light. It is not at all.
And admittedly, there is also the part of me that's looking at people talking about wanting to date 20-year-olds. And my first thought is I wouldn't know what to talk with them about. Like, I've got friends of mine who are on the cusp of being zillennials. They're the young millennials, old Gen Zers, and they are like, these two are my family. I have adopted them. They are my like little brother, little sister, and they tried to show me one of the cartoons they really love by the same people who do Has Been Hotel and Hell of a Boss.
Okay.
And I'm just sitting here going like, this is, I understand why you like it, but this is absolutely not for me. Like, this is just a cultural touchstone that I am never going to be into. And at the same time, I've shown them Goonies, and they're like, I don't understand that. Just basic things I'm not going to be able to relate to, like much younger people, just aren't there. So that alone is enough to make me go like, okay, pretty, but I can't have a conversation with them. And I have long ago learned that I cannot have like any sort of like even necessarily a physical relationship with someone I can't have a good conversation with. And so I don't say this to say like, oh, look at me, I'm so evolved. It's just more along the lines of like, I just don't get it. They're cute, they're hot to look at. Most of them don't know how to fuck worth a damn. And
What do you
so,
talk
like,
about?
yeah.
I don't like I met the guy I was dating, I met the 23-year-old he was dating. She was very sweet. Like she was not a bad person. I have no judgment or issues with her whatsoever. She seems like a lovely person. But like I'm 43 now. I don't know that I could have a relationship with her because what would that even be? Like what would the
Mhm.
relationship even be? You know? And I think that if I'm honest, right, there were red flags in this dude that I ignored early on because he was hot. We had some good DS dynamics. We had some good sex. And I figured that the red flags I was seeing were temporary things or anomalies, right? But there was this way that, like, I've been a sex therapist and a sex educator for many years. I've been in these communities for a long time. But he would talk to me sometimes as though I didn't know anything about these things, or like I would start saying something and he would cut me off to share his thought and like show a lack of curiosity of like my perspective.
Mm.
And it wasn't all the time, but there were enough times that it happened that like it makes sense why he could date a 23-year-old, because he doesn't actually care what she thinks or wants anyway. She's just a hot body for him to do things with. I think that part of what he needs to unpack within himself is why it is that he wants people who he's not curious about. What is that lack of curiosity of the people that you're with? What is that lack of desire to understand them, to listen to them, to hear from them, to see their perspectives? Why don't you have that? What is that about? You know?
I'd also be willing to bet that, especially since he is the older and I'm presuming more experienced partner, especially in say
Oh,
a
she's 23. He's been in
right,
the non monogamy and kink scenes for decades.
right,
Like,
and
yeah,
especially in the kink scene, being able to be the dispenser of wisdom
yeah.
and the one opening this world to her and like having all of these insights into it and her reaction to it. I imagine that's also got to be a pretty like intoxicating mix, especially if, and I don't know this guy, so I don't know if that's a thing for him, if he's got any sort of like, need for external validation of having someone like go, "Oh, wow, you're so brilliant," as opposed to someone going like, "Okay, well, that's a good idea. However, in my experience, da 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 da."
And I've
So,
dated a
like,
lot of dudes who
yeah,
like are used to being the more educated, more experienced, knowing more person in their non monogamy and kink relationships. And then we date. And it is a rough transition for them because I've been in these worlds for a long time. I know a lot about them. I teach in them. I give therapy about them. I have a lot of experience in education. And a lot of those dudes do not like it. They think it's going to be great, but they actually don't like not being the one who knows more. And it's fascinating because there was one person I dated who I'm still very close with. He's working on this in therapy. Every person he had dated for the most part had been very new to polyamory, and he got to be the one who like helped them, but it was so challenging because they always struggled so much with polyamory. But then when he dated me, a person who's experienced in polyamory, I'd be like, "Bro, what are you doing? Like, why do you think you can just not text me for a week between our dates? That doesn't make any sense." He's like, "Oh, yeah, okay." I was like, "Yeah." I'm like, "What are you doing to maintain this relationship? Because like I'm putting in effort. What are you doing?" He's like, "That's actually a really good point. You're right. I haven't done that before." And he hasn't had partners who say to him, "Actually, these relationship things are things you need to work on." Because they were new. And I think that there's a way in which that can be very appealing to certain kinds of folks.
just I have to share this because for those of you who are listening, you cannot see the face that I started making
The
when
face.
Liz said, "Didn't text me for a week between dates."
Look, okay, I don't know what it is, but I have had a series of people I have dated in the last several years who will just kind of fall off the planet for like a week. And when I'm like, dude, what the fuck? They're like, what do you mean?
I do not
Inclu-
get this.
I
I
don't
am
know. Like, I'm
I am
bad
a
at texting. I
chronic
give
over
two.
texter.
No,
If I don't talk to someone for a week, if I don't hear from one of my friends for over a week, I start to worry what's going on. If it's not a dynamic we don't already have, where it's just like, oh, right, yeah, I know, they're just going to send me another like meme about the fusion between the young girl and the dog from Full Metal Alchemist again, just to make me scream, then I can understand. It's like, oh, yeah, we're just going to trade those back and forth and then silence again. But someone who I'm actively like seeing on a regular basis, I'd be like, are you mad at me? Did I fuck up? What's going on? I haven't heard from you in forever. I always say that my love language is internet addicted crow. I will bring you shiny memes if we're friends.
I love
And
this
so
about
I
you.
will like their deluge my people I care about and I'm in regular contact with get deluged with like random cool memes, videos, occasionally thoughts of, have you read this thing? Have you seen this? Here's an insane thought I just had. And then they're all going like, yes, we know, Harris, you don't have to share everything that's in your head. Sometimes what's inside can stay inside.
So, one more comment from this one that I want to read. When you are with someone for such a long time, their patterns become predictable. Your wife knew you. It sounds like she knew you better than you knew yourself. Did you know your wife? Oftentimes in life, we focus on desire. We focus on what we don't have or what we think we desire. Or we focus on our ego, or we root our self esteem in other people, which is not only trivial, but incredibly unstable. If you constantly wedge your self esteem in material things, fleeting moments of pleasure, or the feelings of others, then your self esteem will always be in the gutter. Ego is birthed in insecurity. Insecurity is a megaphone to your self worth. If you do not have a sound mind, sound morals, and sound discipline to ground yourself emotionally and mentally, you will fall prey to anything that sweeps you off your feet, man or woman. It would have been best to invest yourself in your wife and family, something which your wife probably saw, felt, and experienced for a long time before your separation and divorce from her. She may have warned you about it, tried to talk to you, argue with you, who knows? At a certain point, she realized you were too far gone and she let you go to learn for yourself. That must have been pretty painful for her. Yes, you say you are miserable and your wife was right, but have you put any thought into the harm you caused her as a result of your betrayal? You're wanting to fix the miserable situation you are in without taking true accountability for it. You just want to escape it. To take true accountability doesn't mean you just say, I know I fucked up this way. It also means that you take a look at how your actions affected others, those closest to you, and acknowledge the pain you brought not just to yourself, but to them also. You probably won't get your wife back, but perhaps you can repair some of the damage you have done, which means being honest and transparent and naming not just how you messed up your own life, but others as well. And then move forward to repair that if you can. If you can't truly take accountability other than to feel bad for yourself, then this is just a case of fuck around and find out. You can do better than that, but it means doing the hard stuff, not just trying to run away from it because you realized too late that your choices are shit.
I love the optimism of you probably won't get your wife back. Like there was ever in the
Okay,
infinite number
you
of
know this woman.
multiverses out there
This
that is
woman
ever
cried for
gonna
like a
happen.
week, and then she realized how much easier her life was without him, and was like,
Oh, I don't
"Thank
think it was a
fucking
week.
goddess that
I think
he."
it was
God,
like 2 days when she woke up one morning and realized just the
no, it
oppressive
takes a
weight
while.
on her shoulders was
Especially after 20
gone.
years. Having been in like a very terrible, shitty, abusive marriage, right? Where there were almost no positive qualities to that relationship, particularly by the end, it still was gut wrenching for weeks, months. Even when I was relieved that I would never have to deal with his shit again. Even when he came to my house and refused to leave until I signed something to split assets up the way that he wanted. And luckily had a lawyer friend I could call to come over and tell him that that wouldn't stand up in court, right? Like, even when shit was terrible, I still felt so much grief about it and loss because this was your life. Like, your entire
Mm.
future included this person, a cornerstone of who you thought of yourself as, who you saw yourself being forever is gone. So even if they were terrible, there's still a lot of grief and loss. And I'm betting she feels so much relief. You know, there's a lot of research that says that getting divorced, even for women with kids, ends up with them having hours less housework to do every week. They do less housework when they are divorced than when they're married. Which, like, boy, cishet men, you're not sending your best. I just.
So I know we've got another Reddit post to cover, and I'm looking forward
Yes.
to talking about this one too. But do you want to hear like my absurd, because I've been thinking about stuff like this recently, because I've got a playlist on my Spotify that's just New Jack Swing 101 that I love listening to.
Okay.
And this made me listen to it, made me think, and this is just my, personal pop culture conspiracy theory. There used to be an entire genre of, like, a subgenre of music across all of it. You heard them in country, you heard it in rock and roll, you heard it in hip hop and R&B and rap, that was basically guys saying, "I will be so good to you." Like, laying out in detail all of, like, the consideration, the care, the things that they're going to do to make your life amazing. And now, granted, my taste in music has ossified in the 80s and 90s, so it's entirely possible that I am missing out. And if I am, please share like some great examples in the comments, because I'm always looking to stay up on new music that seems pretty cool. But it seems like that entire genre of it has gone away, and like you don't hear so much of it anymore, whereas before you had like people like Heavy D and the Boys, and Heavy D was, a big dude talking about, like, yeah, I'm big, but also look at how much I'm gonna do for you, look at how great all of your experiences with me are gonna be. And I feel like that
Yeah.
kind of set like a level of expectation of, oh, you know what, this is the sort of thing you should be doing in order to be like, this romantic sexy man, as opposed to the alpha male, king of business, focusing entirely on being the provider monetarily rather than the provider of actual emotional security, of new experiences, of care and intimacy. So I feel maybe losing that kind of helped push us down the way of, we don't have pop culture reinforcement of, I'm gonna be so good to you.
Yeah, and I think that part of that is that the relationship that fascism teaches us is one that reinforces very antiquated and misogynistic gender roles, right? Whether we like the fascism or not, it has shifted the Overton window very significantly on what is acceptable in relationship, what is acceptable to expect, what is reasonable, what you can even like hope for a partner to do for you if you are a woman. And I think that's a huge tragedy. I think that part of the machinery of fascism, part of the machinery of misogyny is this focus on like sympathy for men and blaming of women. When we look at like the framing of the male loneliness epidemic, it's something women have to fix, not men
Mm.
who are the lonely ones who could, I don't know, make fucking friendships the way that people who are not cis men have done for fucking ever. But no, no, no. Women need to fix the male loneliness epidemic. Men aren't having sex and getting married, so women should just lower their standards and marry substandard men to make them happy, right? That there is this way in which men are treated as real people and women are treated as people to the extent that it doesn't interfere with their ability to service men, right? And all of us are in that soup, whether we like it or not. And all of us are subject to the ways in which the things we consume, the things we are surrounded by, shift what we believe is acceptable, shift our ideas of what is a reasonable expectation, shift our ideas of what a relationship is supposed to look like. The beauty of being queer is that I don't have just straight relationship models to look at. And so I get to have the experience of seeing, like, oh no, like even in a relationship with a man, I should not put up with this shit because I could date someone who would, I don't know, text me back. And it's, we joke a lot of times online. We joked with each other, like the bar for men is in hell. And sometimes they still manage to stumble under it somehow. Like they will dig a deeper path to be able to like just not clear that bar. And I think that the unfortunate thing about the time that we are living in is that is so strongly reinforced. The algorithmic social media that we have has created this, it is almost all of it very conservative leaning in terms of what it promotes. It wants to promote this misogynistic manosphere alpha male bullshit. It wants to push people towards these pipelines of gradually increasing radicalization, of greater levels of misogyny and racism. And the impact on our relationships is that you have all of these men who seem to think that women are like a thing you acquire, not a person you have to relate to.
You
But
can say
also
Scott
that
Galloway. It's
expect
okay.
but like also expect them to solve their loneliness, right? Like they need to be the person that they connect to, but not a person in so much as having their own wants and needs. And it's really a challenging time to be alive. And I don't know how we fix it because, again, any boy in his teens on social media is going to end up within a few clicks in the manosphere. Like it is nearly impossible to avoid it. They are fucking everywhere and they make so much goddamn money and they have so many backers, and it's poisoning huge chunks of our population. And I don't know how we fix it. I don't know how we get out of this to a space where, you know, we can even get back to the very minimal level of progress we had made of men looking at women as people who they should maybe be kind of nice to if they want to fuck them.
This is going to sound weird, and we're going to have to do an episode on this when we do discuss heated rivalries. And we will, don't worry. I
I'm
do
so
think that
excited
part
for heated rivalry. I'm so
I do
excited.
think part of it is going to require having examples of, and this is going to sound weird, male role models who are not stereotypical woke guys, who are, I wouldn't call them manly men, but guys who, in a lot of ways, are very, typically male, but behaving in ways that are more equitable and more focused on, like, treating their partners as a person. One of the oddest examples that I have seen, and this is going to come up during when we do discuss heated rivalry, is Shorzy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I
Which
was
I
not
have not seen.
expecting a Letterkenny spinoff to not only have one of the best examples of like exploring masculinity, but also someone providing a relationship model that is actually, remarkably progressive and forward thinking and equitable from a character like Shorzy, who had been a one note, like, I fucked your mom joke for 15 seasons in Letterkenny.
Yeah. And I mean, I think Jacob Tierney, right, is the one who
Mm-hmm.
created Letterkenny, was involved in Shorzy. He's a gay man. And I think that brings a very different lens to things. I've said this online. I fully believe that heated rivalry could help cure the male loneliness epidemic. Not because all men should be gay, though I wouldn't object to that. Like, I think all y'all should try dick at least once. Like, what's it gonna do? How's it gonna hurt you?
Quite a lot if you don't
Because,
use enough lube.
I mean, that lube and prep, everybody, lube and prep. But because heated rivalry has had this effect of getting straight dudes to talk about their feelings, because it's two pro hockey players who have to figure out how to talk about their fucking feelings with each other. And so it's making all these dudes feel feelings and have to talk about them. And I think that, like, that the reason men are lonely is because they don't have real friendships with other dudes usually. Most cis het men would rather die than be honest about their feelings with their bros.
Mm.
Right? Like, a thing that we were taught in fucking therapy school was, when you're talking with a woman about feelings, face to face is better. If you're talking with a man about feelings, or especially a teen boy, it's better to be sitting next to each other like you're both in a car. And they
Yep.
don't have to look at you and you're not looking at them, because that's going to make them way more comfortable. And like, that is so fucking sad to me. Y'all should be able to get together with your bros and be like, man, I'm just still fucking hurting over Jenny. I can't believe she broke up with me, man. Like, it just sucks. I mean, I think she probably had a point. Like, I wasn't doing these things. And your bros can be like, I get it, man. I had to learn that the hard way too. I don't know why I thought that it was okay to just expect my lady to do the dishes, right? Like, bros need to talk to other bros. That's how we fix it.
Now, let's get to the next one you have, because you
Yes.
actually touched on something very important, and a thing that a lot of people do not know is the history of shaving for women, and how especially things like shaving the underarms, is shaving the
Yes.
legs, is a very recent, as in
Less than a
within
100
living
years.
memory of some of our family cultural invention.
Yeah, no, Sophia Loren. There are tons of pictures of her in Hollywood movies with underarm hair. Like, it is completely fucking recent, under 100 years. Okay, so this one is from Best of Redditor Updates. My female 48, boyfriend, male 33, Says he's disgusted by my body hair and I have to laser remove it and pay for it or else he'll leave me. He says I'm not taking his happiness into consideration, and if I can't sacrifice this for him, what else won't I be willing to sacrifice down the road? Okay, so I feel like even just the title tells you everything you need to know.
Everything else after
like,
that is
nope, you want me to sacrifice my bodily autonomy for you? No, thank you, because that's absolutely not something I will sacrifice down the road. So,
all right. I got a lot of feelings on this one. Not surprisingly, I'm on her side because
yeah.
this podcast, where else would I be? But this is one that I have a shocking amount of actual experience with on the side of the person getting things lasered or removed.
Okay.
Because I've had a tattoo on my back lasered, and it's functionally the same process.
Painful. Yeah.
It is not only very painful, even if you numb it, it takes a lot of sessions, and it's really goddamn expensive.
Yeah. So, okay, so the original poster of this was Husfluga, and it was originally posted to our relationship advice. The trigger warnings that this poster gave was controlling behavior and misogyny, which, yes. Okay. The original post was in May of 2019. I've been dating my boyfriend for 14 months. A few days ago, he confessed he is disgusted by my body hair and wants me to get laser done on my forearms, private area, and legs. At first, I said no because I accept my body as it is, and he's never expressed any complaints about my hair before. To be honest, you can't really see my forearm hair. It's just a bit of very subtle blonde hair. I wax my legs once a month and groom my private area as often as needed. I'm not even a hairy person. He elaborated on how it disgusts him to look at it and gags at the thought of touching it. At first, I thought he was looking for a dumb excuse to break up, but he was dead serious about it. So I agreed to compromise and bleach my forearm hair because I don't want to wax or shave it. He said even if bleaching it would make the hair practically invisible, he'd still know it's there and feel disgusted about it. He told me I had to get it permanently laser removed, as well as my crotch and legs. I said I don't mind having my legs done with laser, but I'm not even sure they can fully and completely remove all of the hair in my crotch area. And while I don't mind temporarily fully shaving or waxing it if that makes him happy, I don't want to have all of it laser removed because that's my choice and I don't feel I should be pressured into doing it. I compromised and agreed to at least think about lasering the crotch area, but if he wanted me to laser remove my forearms and legs, it was only fair he'd pay for it. He refused, saying it doesn't cost that much, and since it'd be a permanent improvement on my body and I'd be the one benefiting from it, I should be the one paying for it. I took offense to these comments.
No, I gotta stop you right there, because this is a dude who does not know what he's talking about. Let's just start with that part. About the it doesn't cost very much my entire fuzzy ass.
And if it doesn't cost that much, you pay for it.
Yeah, like, no, first of all, that is $100 a session at a cheap place that's gonna do a shitty job. Like, getting that much stuff waxed is $120 if you're lucky.
Here's the thing I'm going to say, my quick little aside, and I think it comes up in some of the comments as well to the original poster, but laser hair removal only works if your hair and your skin are significantly different in color. If your hair is too light and blends in with your skin, it actually doesn't work because they can't attune the laser to your hair. So like me, you cannot see any hair on my forearms. It's there, I promise you, but because I'm very blonde, it doesn't show. If I tried to get laser hair, like any reputable laser hair removal place that I went into would look at my arms and say, we can't, like it's just not possible. So if she's saying that her hair is already super blonde and you can't see it, they wouldn't be able to laser it anyway.
Yep.
Anyway, so picking back up. I took offense to these comments because I don't consider lasering body hair an upgrade or body improvement. I asked again if he was looking to start a fight to break up because the situation seemed too bizarre. He said if I wasn't willing to sacrifice something this silly to make him happy, what else wouldn't I be willing to sacrifice further down the road? He said he loves me and wants to build a future together, but I'm not taking his happiness into consideration, and this is a deal breaker for him. This past few days...
What's he willing to sacrifice to make her happy? Because I'm not hearing that side.
Men don't make sacrifices, Harris. That's not how this goes. I don't understand why you think men should have to make sacrifices. This past few days, we don't live together. He's
Thank
been sending
Christ.
me messages with quotes from different laser hair removal salons and telling me to make a decision already and that I'm the love of his life, but I have to learn to budge to make this relationship work. To be honest, this whole thing has greatly put me off of him, and I'm reconsidering if this is the person I want to be with. I feel pressured to change something about me I never had an issue with, and I feel he's giving me an ultimatum to choose. I either laser my body and pay for it to please him, or he leaves me. TLDR, boyfriend wants me to laser remove all my body hair and pay for it, or else it's a deal breaker because it means I'm not willing to sacrifice for him.
Girl,
So so the relevant
run.
comments are so good. First relevant comment that was posted. He's right. You need to sacrifice. In this case, sacrifice him and move on. It'll hurt in the short term, but be cathartic for you in the long run. Okay, so here I want to take the kindest possible approach to this man for a moment because I am not, in fact, a misandrist. I date a lot of men. I can't hate them.
I can't hate men. My father was one.
I have a father, I have a brother. There are two men I am related to. So, okay, I think most likely this is just a controlling, shitty misogynist who's trying to erode her sense of her own autonomy and agency and also, force her to overthrow her own boundaries in the sake of pleasing him to create a situation in which that will continue to happen over the course of their lives. However, there is a possibility that this is a man on the autism spectrum who does genuinely have weird, gross out things, right? There are a lot of neurodivergent people who have stuff that for them is a weird, gross out. The reason I don't think that's what this is because he's not coming to him from a place of, I know this is a me thing. I'm really sorry. I'm willing to try to work on it. Can we compromise in some way? He's coming to it from a demand. But it is theoretically possible that body hair could just objectively totally gross him out. I don't think that's true, but it's theoretically possible.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible, but also apparently it took 14 months to get to this part where there was bare minimum at least a year where he did not have a problem with her body hair. And I can absolutely get that, like, new relationship energy covers up a lot of sins, and a lot of the things that are going to bug you later on are things you find cute in the early days. But the fact that he waited until she was a bit more locked in kind of says to me that this is more a like control thing rather than a issue that's been coming up over and over again, and he's just been like gritting his teeth and plowing through it while he's been plowing, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
No, I call bullshit on that one, honestly.
Yeah. And I, as a non-binary person who was raised as a woman and often feels pulled towards feminine standards of beauty subconsciously, body hair is something that I have so many messy feelings about because I'm a very blonde person. I don't have a lot of body hair. And I'm also a very lazy person. So I don't shave anything. I might technically own a razor, but I could not tell you the last time that I shaved my legs. I could not tell you the last time I shaved my armpits. I just don't. Even my legs, where I have a lot more hair now than I did before I did some tea. I haven't shaved in at least half a decade. You can't see shit on that camera. So I am not a hairy person, but every once in a while I will hook up with someone who makes a comment about hair, and it is weird, and the amount of like immediate shame I feel for having hair on my body is fascinating, right? Again, women did not shave their underarms and their legs as a regular thing until the 40s and 50s. This is a very new thing. We have hair on our bodies because we're fucking primates. We're mammals. We have hair. It's what we do. And it is something that was created and pushed as a way to sell more razors while dudes were off at war and not buying razors. And it's also something that is another tool in the misogynistic control toolbox, right? If you have to be constantly doing all this maintenance, I feel like a lot of dudes who shave their faces have no idea how much longer it takes to shave your legs and your underarms than it does your face. Like, It takes so much time, and there are so many bumpy things for you to cut, like the ankles, the knees, your Achilles tendon. Those are some real dangerous areas to be shaving. Your underarms, depending on how you hold them, real easy to cut yourself there. It takes, I would say, like even just a legs and armpits shave probably takes 3 times as much time as a face, at
Mm.
least. And it's also something where a lot of us have very delicate skin. So if you don't do it properly, you get horrific razor bumps. Horrific razor bumps all along your legs or on your underarms. Like, you know how bad a razor bump feels on your face? Imagine if your shirt was rubbing it all fucking day, right? It is horrendous dealing with the realities of shaving. And I still feel so much shame about my own body hair that I have chosen to keep because I'm lazy and because I don't need to align with those standards, right? This is such a messy thing. And so while many of us would look at this and say, obviously, babe, leave this fucking loser, I get why there was a part of her that was like, do I need to do this? Because there is so much potent messaging about how wrong women's body hair is.
And here's a fun thing. I do, in fact, know from personal experience how long it takes takes a person to shave their legs, because I've done it. I've got tattoos on my shins and calves, and to get tattooed, you need to shave everything off. So I did that
Yep.
before I went in for the session, and then had to maintain it because I had to go back for multiple sessions. So I know exactly how long it takes to do all of that. And no, it's not goddamn fun.
Shaving that
And
Achilles tendon is such a fun thing, isn't it? Having to figure
mhm.
out how to get the angle on that. Woo!
Or try to shave around the shin bone, especially where the
Yep.
edge of it is. Like, all of that
Yep.
is a fucking nightmare. Shaving around your ankles. So I've done that. I'm also someone who is, we're just going to get real weird and personal here, who is very fuzzy. Under right circumstances, I would be hunted for my pelt. I can't be a bear because I'm too short, but I can be a badger. So I also have a very mixed feelings about my own personal body hair. And I do, in fact, try to keep everything nicely trimmed and coiffed, looking rather nice. So I feel you on the whole weird relationship with one's own body hair. And at the same time, and I will freely admit this, I prefer just the general aesthetic and like texture and feel of, you know, shaved skin over someone with like who doesn't shave. That is a personal preference. I don't dislike it when other people do it. And the times that I have been with someone who has not shaved, I have not said anything. Usually the relationship hasn't worked out, but for different reasons. It's just been like, yeah, this is just not a thing that does it for me. But I also fully understand that is a thing that doesn't do it for me. And I would much rather be with someone who is going to be looking at this as, okay, well, this is a thing I do for myself, and also because, you like it, not a thing that I'm sitting there going like, how dare you not do this? Otherwise, like, my only feeling about hair is just like, keep it clean, and as long as it's not like stabbing me, like it's not like sharp and prickly, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. So the update. I've been talking to my mom and brothers today. Actually, 2 of them are here with me now. And after talking to them and reading most comments, I decided there's no going back and I'm leaving his sorry ass. One of my brothers asked me to move in with him, and I said yes. He lives in another city from where my ex and I live. I've spent all morning doing arrangements with them. I talked to my boss, and I'm getting some personal days off work until next Monday to sort my situation out. My brothers and I have been packing my stuff all day. It's not much because I live in a small studio apartment and I don't have many belongings, so we should be done moving everything to his house by tomorrow, the latest. Another one of my brothers will come later on with a van to move everything and should be done in 2 trips. I texted my ex saying I'm sorry for being stubborn and I'll laser like he asked because I love him and I'm willing to sacrifice anything for him. I said I got an appointment in a local laser clinic tomorrow, but my skin will be irritated after the first session, so I'll need to rest for the day, especially the crotch and legs, so I won't be able to meet him. And besides, I don't want him to see me like that. I told him to come over to my apartment Friday night. I'll order takeout from his favorite place, and we'll show him how I look like without the hair. He said it's okay Friday night, we have a date then, and volunteered to come take the dog if I'm in too much pain to even walk him. But I said my mom is going to stay over to look after me, so she's going to walk the dog. This is all bullshit, but it's my escape plan so he doesn't get anxious about me not replying and decides to show up here. I don't want him to know I'm moving out until I'm physically out of the apartment. I don't want him to suspect anything. Maybe I'm being overly paranoid, but better safe than sorry. I also talked to my landlady before and explained I'll be needing to move out now. My lease expires the 1st of June, and I've already paid for this month, so it's all good. I also explained I'm getting away from my ex who's being abusive and controlling and offered to change the locks in case he ever returned using his key, because that would scare to death the new tenant. She's offered to take the cost of it from my deposit, so that's one less worry in my mind. I think I got everything covered so far. I was initially thinking of breaking up with him in a coffee shop and wanted to give him a piece of my mind, but I think I'm just going to do it over the phone the second everything is out from my apartment and I'm at my brother's. I'm just going to send him a text saying a few things and block him everywhere. I don't need to go out of my way to hurt him. I just want to move on, cry it out, and move on with my life. I hope this is the end of it and he doesn't do anything crazy. Again, better safe than sorry. Also, don't worry about the doggy. His papers are on my name and he's got a microchip, and I'm taking him with me to my brother's house. Another update from May of 2019. Hi guys, this is an update on my previous post. I just wanted to update you on my situation so far. I dumped my now ex-boyfriend. I sent him a text with a link to the other thread and told him I've decided to laser remove him from my life because I'm not, and shouldn't have to be, willing to make any sacrifices down the road, like modifying my body, for anybody. I told him his unhealthy attitude towards the women body disgusts me and makes me gag. He's unable to compromise, didn't respect my wishes, space, and boundaries, and I won't allow anyone to pressure me into doing anything I'm not comfortable with by giving me an ultimatum. He's managed to put me off him, and he's not the type of man I choose to have a relationship with. I also added a couple telephone numbers for clinical psychologists and suggested he gets an appointment to sort out his developmental issues, phobia, or whatever the hell is wrong with him. I asked him not to contact me again and blocked him. Almost straight away, he sent me a video of him from a different number, crying his eyes out to the camera, saying he loves me, I'm ruining his life, he had great plans for me, and is only guilty of wanting me to achieve my full potential as a woman. I deleted it and blocked that number too. A couple hours later, he sent me yet another video of him from yet another different number, saying I took things too far by posting it online and making him go viral, and he's not a pedophile, and why wasn't I answering the door? I didn't finish watching that one either. My brother called him on that number and said if he didn't leave me alone, we'd go to the police, so he better quit harassing me. He's since stopped bothering me. I cried a lot the first day because I was in so much pain, but then it hit me, as much as I thought I loved him, nobody that shitty deserves me crying over him. His shitty attitude has helped me get over him pretty quickly, although of course I'm still hurt over the disappointment he turned out to be. But being with my brother, I moved in with him in another city, and my puppy is keeping me very distracted. I've been hanging out a lot with my girlfriends, and tonight we're going out to eat tacos and go dancing. The world keeps turning and life goes on. Thank you so much to all of you for your support and kind messages. TLDR, BF wanted me to laser remove my body hair to please him. I instead laser removed the BF.
I want to point out that this all went down, going by the dates on this, on the span of 3 days. First post was on May 14th. Last post was May 17th.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that is how badly he fumbled this bag and how quickly it went from, okay, this is a kind of a problem, he's being a douchebag, to I am leaving the city to get away from you.
Yeah. And
Also, the calling on multiple numbers and sending videos.
No,
like, up until that point, I was just kind of like...
The line, he's only guilty of wanting me to achieve my full potential as a woman.
That's the part where I was just kind of like, okay, I am now... I was always fully on her side, and I was thinking that the whole, like, sending him clinical, like, physician and psychologist numbers was a bit much. That part changed my mind, where he was like, I was trying to help you fulfill your potential as a woman. It's like, what the actual fuck? This is not a project.
I had plans for you. I had plans for you.
Yeah, I bet you fucking had plans.
Okay, here's the thing though. I wish that this was unusual. But again, I think a lot of these men don't see women as people who are their own whole internal universes of experiences and desires.
Oh, no, she's a trophy.
I mean, not even a trophy. I think that there's this way
like a trophy that
like,
you mount on your wall.
I mean,
like a deer head.
I think they see their woman like they see their Xbox, right? Like, it's there for you to play with the way that you want to, and you can upgrade its RAM and you can get more storage for it, But like, why does it care if you do the dishes? That's not what it's for.
Yeah,
It's not
and
supposed
like
to tell you what to do. You tell it what to do.
just the fact that like I had plans for you, I was gonna help you fulfill your potential. It's just like, tell me you didn't think that this was a person without telling me it was you don't think it
Yeah,
was a
I mean,
person.
you
Like, what the
don't.
fuck is that?
Yeah,
And again, the
like,
multiple dipping into different numbers to call and send
yeah,
voicemails and videos. First the crying one, and then the how dare you make me go viral. That's a bit telling on yourself, bro, because like no one knows who the fuck you are. No one is gonna
mm-mm.
know the details. This was so generic. No
Yeah,
one.
all she said was his age and what he asked her for. That's it. If your friends can figure out that was you by that, bro, they already fucking knew who you were. Like, they
Didn't
already knew
even
about
mention
you.
like the city or like
Nah,
state.
country. We don't even know. Like, I'm guessing UK based on how they say some things, but could
Could
also
be
be
Canada, but either way.
someone translating stuff. Like, I. So gross. But yeah,
Nope.
absolutely not
Nope.
treating her
Nope.
like a
Honey, you were in
person.
danger. You got out. You made the right call.
Yeah, you in danger, girl. Like, yeah, so bad. So bad. And I, again, this is not rare. Like, this approach of a man to a woman is not rare at all. You know, one of the unfortunate things about how we socialize folks in our culture is we don't think of women as people, right? And this idea that, like, as a woman you should adjust yourself to fit your men's desires is actually not uncommon, right? Like, it is actually not uncommon. When I was married, at one point I wanted to cut my hair shorter, and my husband said, "Oh, I don't want you to do that." And it was reasonable for him to say that, and it was reasonable for me to then be like, "Okay, so I guess I shouldn't." Right? In a way that we would not really normalize in the other direction. I think that, like, when we see these posts that are this extreme, it's very easy for us to see, yeah, this is real wrong. This is bad. But I think that the smaller versions of this happen all the time in ways that are often more subtle and that we excuse. And I don't, again, I think this is something we really need to address. And the role of the manosphere makes that really challenging.
Especially, and there's the thing that, like, we touched on a little bit at the start of he's saying, if you're not willing to make this sacrifice for me, what else aren't you willing to sacrifice?
Yeah.
But we're not hearing a thing about what he's been willing to sacrifice from her. And maybe some of that's not necessarily immediately relevant for the story that she's telling, but that there should be, like, if you're gonna request something from your partner and it's something important enough that you're willing to make it a deal breaker or a, like, look, I need this for our relationship to continue, there really does need to be sort of like an equitable exchange of some sort where, maybe you're not doing the exact same thing, but you are likewise doing something for your partner that would be a sacrifice for you for the sake of your partner and your partner's satisfaction within the relationship. It's much like, dividing up of labor. It doesn't need to
Mm,
be equal, but it does need to be equitable, and so nobody should feel like they're getting screwed. And this was so one-sided and
yeah.
so just, if you don't obey me on this command, I don't know what other commands you might not listen to, and I can't have that.
And I think something I saw recently on the internet is someone had posted, inconvenience is the price we pay for community. And I think that
Hmm.
is absolutely true. That we are in a time where a lot of people are unwilling to inconvenience themselves for the sake of community, and that's not great. But I also think that while that is true, when we do embrace the necessity of inconvenience, the way we distribute that inconvenience is not equitable, right? The people who are expected to bear that inconvenience much greater are those lower on the societal power structure. And that in your relationships, I think it is really important for everybody to continually be looking at, are we distributing these compromises equitably? Are we distributing inconvenience equitably? Are we distributing labor equitably? And what does equitable actually mean? Am I thinking of it as equitable when my partner is not? Have we actually discussed what would feel equitable, and if I helped them feel safe being honest in that discussion?
Yeah, all of that's really important. And honestly, that's the sort of thing you should talk about and have as part of your defining the relationship discussion is to talk about like, all right, let's say we live together. How do we divide things up? What sort of chores or household responsibilities maybe do you gravitate towards naturally and how many do I gravitate towards naturally? Which of them is more easy or for one of us to do than the other? Like maybe, you are the one who works later, so you come home and you're tired and aren't really able to cook, so then I would be the one who does the cooking because I am the one who like has, more spoons for it, metaphorically speaking. Or maybe it's the other way around. The other person really loves cooking because that's part of their love language. They love cooking for their friends and family and loved ones. So, okay, they do the cooking, but then I do something else, not just, they cook, I clean, but like there is some other aspect within the relationship where I am handling things that I may be either better suited to cover or that make me feel special because I can do it because I love doing that for the people I care about. And these things may change over time because circumstances change.
Yeah.
Like,
And I think, again, this is an important thing to regularly check in about. I think a lot of folks in particularly mainstream monogamous straight communities have this expectation that like defining the relationship is a conversation you have. And in polyamory communities, we have to have our relationship check-ins more frequently because shit changes a lot very
yep.
often. And I think that it's a really helpful tool to incorporate, whether you're monogamous or non-monogamous, straight or queer, is this regular practice of checking in where both people get to be honest about like, is this still working for me? What are the things that aren't working? What are the resentments that are building? Can we actually address them? And finding tools that are helpful to you in having those conversations. Multi-Amory has their radar system that's awesome. The book Cultivating Connections by Sandra T. Jones is really, really good at explaining like how to have these tough discussions in a productive way, and also has a good relationship bill of rights model that I think everybody should read. My book has some worksheets on it. I'm sure Harris has done classes on it. But like you have to find ways to continue to have these discussions and bring these things up before they fester and become too big to deal with.
Now, an important question here. What is the name of that book you wrote?
It is called Building Open Relationships. It is a practical how-to guide for non-monogamy, but also, fun fact, did you know the skills you need for non-monogamy pretty much the same you need for monogamy, because it's just still relating to people. So it works even if you're monogamous.
I mean, honestly, this is one of the reasons why I think reading stuff like The Ethical Slut or, The Author is Problematic, but More Than Two, or Opening
Mhm.
Up, and all of the books that we tend to hand out as like, doing your due diligence on polyamory are good for building relationship skills in
Yeah.
general, because polyamory is one of the few areas where we actually say, okay, this is a thing you have to work on. These are skills you have to cultivate. And we don't say that about monogamous relationships until much, much later. And then after, and usually only after problems crop up.
Yeah. And like if you are a cishet dude and you want to be swimming in dates, do some fucking work on yourself. Learn how to do the dishes without being told. It's
Learn
actually
how to
real fucking simple.
learn how to cook. Learn how to cook and learn how to cook well and learn how to love cooking. And oh my God, you will only be single by choice. If you have
Mhm.
ever seen the movie with Chef with Jon Favreau and you were sitting there going like, I'm sorry, how the fuck is a dude who looks like Jon Favreau we're supposed to believe that he has gotten with both Sofia Vergara and Scarlett Johansson?
Oh, I
Answer,
would
you
know.
know nothing about
Would.
chefs, bro.
Yeah, no. Look,
That is a man
look.
who can eat a woman out like he is eating a cupcake
Oh,
and then cook her a feast afterwards. I am just saying.
perhaps a problematic view, but I think that conventionally attractive people are almost always worse at sex because they don't have to try as hard, right? Like those of us who are not as conventionally attractive, we have to have skills in order to draw people to us, whereas like conventionally attractive folk, they get to just be hot. So I think that the less conventionally attractive folks are almost always better in the sack.
Hey, just saying. All right, so I think that is a sode.
Yes. So
So,
Harris, where can people find you?
well, you can find me on the skies are where the skies are blue as Dr. Nerdlove. In fact, all of my socials, you can find me on Dr. Nerdlove. Blue Sky is where I am active most often. I write Paging Dr. Nerdlove, which goes new articles every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And you can submit questions for your dating advice dilemmas to drnerdlove.com/contact. And you, Dr. Liz, where can they find you?
Yeah, so I'm at Dr. Liz Powell, Dr. Liz Powell, on all the social medias. I'm most active on Blue Sky. My website is drlizpowell.com, and you can find my book there. I have some classes, online classes on different skills and stuff about relationships, as well as some real cute merch like the Celebrate Trans Joy shirt that I'm wearing right now. That's where I am. I have a Patreon, patreon.com/Dr. Liz. So that's where you can find me.
All right. And so we are going to leave it there. And as always, until we come up with a better ending tag, just remember, do as we say, not as
Not
they
as
did.
they did.